Bueno, estamos con David Chalmers, es profesor en la Universidad de Nueva York, es uno de los mayores líderes en los temas de metodología y filosofía de la mente, y hoy le vamos a hacer una de las entrevistas FISIS sobre el tema del congreso que nos ha concernido, que es la cuestión de la ontología. So, Dave, you are famous to say, as you said in your talk, that there is no the question of ontology. So it's going to be a very simple question. Why is not that so? And why should we be pluralist about the question of ontology?
I think there are many philosophical questions. I'm a pluralist about everything. I think almost never is there the anything. So ontology is a very broad field, and there are many questions you can ask. The traditional question is Klein's question. What is there? What exists? And I think it's an important question, but for me, it's not the most important question. If anything is the most important question in ontology for me, it's the question of what is fundamental? What is reality made of at base? And so one view is, the answer is physicalism. What's fundamental is fundamental physics. Everything is built from there. Idealism says everything is mental. Everything is built from there. For me, those questions somehow are deeper than the catalogue of what actually exists in the world. So if I had one question, number one, I would say, what is fundamental? But I recognize there are many questions. What is fundamental? What exists? How do you build up the non-fundamental from the fundamental? And there are many questions ontologists should ask. I think philosophy is more interesting when we ask many questions. So maybe I would rephrase the question as, what are the questions of ontology?
Okay, thank you very much. So, then you love grounding, as you saw today too. Why, you're also famous because you have talked about verbal disputes. Why is not grounding, the question about grounding a verbal dispute?
Well, I think when it comes to issues about fundamentality, issues about grounding are never far away. For example, the issue about whether physicalism is true about the mind or about the mental really is an issue of whether the mental is grounded in the physical. If it is, then physicalism about the mind is true. If it's not, physicalism about the mind is false. In a way, grounding is just a label for the thing we're interested in when we're interested in those questions about views like physicalism, idealism, and whatever about what's fundamental. Because if you've got the view about these are the fundamental things, there's got to be some relation that the non-fundamental things must have to the fundamental things in order for, say, the physical to be fundamental. That's grounding. Now, why is that not a verbal issue? Why is the question of what's fundamental not verbal? I guess I have a hard time seeing how it could possibly be two senses of the word fundamental, so that in one sense the physical is fundamental, in another sense the mental is fundamental. If somebody tried some diagnosis of this dispute as verbal, could run it past me, then I'd at least be open to the attempt. I've never seen anything that suggests that an issue this deep could be verbal.
Great, so then you are saying that these interlevel metaphysics, because you are also famous in this neo-Carnacian tradition to say things like there are internal and external questions. What about these interlevel metaphysics? Because in the interlevel metaphysics you have different frameworks. That could be internal or external, the question about grounding, because you're asking about both levels.
I like frameworks when it comes to questions of what exists. Do tables exist or not? Well, there's a table framework where an ordinary object framework where we say they do. Maybe there's a physics framework where we don't say they do. And I don't think that's a deep issue. That's really how do you catalog the world. So I like frameworks for questions about existence, and maybe that induces a use of frameworks for questions about grounding. What is grounded in the physical? Maybe tables, maybe not. But for questions about what's truly fundamental, I don't think that's going to be grounding relative. What gets grounded may be relative, but that's not really so much because of a relativity or a framework dependence of grounding. it's more a framework dependence of existence. Now, a more radical view than mine might allow a framework dependence of grounding, and I've toyed with this idea. We could have Carnappian grounding frameworks for what actually counts as a grounding relation, but to me this view is much less clearly motivated than frameworks in the case of existence.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. Esta ha sido la entrevista con David Chalmers y eso es todo. Muchas gracias.